Earlier, we heard from Jeremy Corbyn on what he would mean for UK assets. Last week, we saw UK assets take a tumble on one particular day. It was when a hard Brexit, or rather a no-deal Brexit, looked to be a little more likely. Some analysts and commentators were raising the possibility of a Corbyn premiership as well, and suggesting that's why markets were selling off. What did you attribute last week's sell-off to?
Well, I think there's two scenarios here which are emerging, and I wouldn't dwell too much on what happened last week. I do think the scenario of anything like this deal getting through is going to be quite bad for UK assets medium term, because it's going to go along with a hemorrhaging of support for the Conservative Party from its nationalist working class base, who will see this as a sellout. So
if they get what they want in the short term, you think it's bad for them in the medium term?
And it would increase the chance of a far left Labour government in the UK. In many ways, I think the best scenario for the pound in UK assets is actually a new leader coming into power in the Conservative Party, who would say enough is enough. France, Germany, Brussels have demanded impossible terms from the UK. We're going to have a clean Brexit just on WTO basis, but we need a year to get there, and we do a new deal with the EU on a transitional period. And that could mean a big election victory on a sort of nationalist way for a Conservative Party.
What would a Corbyn Prime Minister mean for UK assets, Brendan?
I would see that as overall very negative in the sense that there is going to be a lot of concern about high taxes, capital controls, and of course a Corbyn government would just not be able at all to get any sort of relationship or deal with the US. Not that the May government's been very successful at that either, but they would be seen as really likely to fail on that. And given that a US deal is going to be so crucial to a post-Brexit Britain, that is something to frighten people.
You put a lot of emphasis on this, don't you, on doing a deal with the US. I mean, Theresa May was talking about the proximity of Europe, and therefore, you know, it's natural in trade terms, perhaps, to assume that Europe remains very important. But you actually put this as a choice between being on the US side or being on the European side. I mean, voting to leave the EU was not voting to join the United States, though.
No, but in strategic terms it is. If Britain is going to move away from Europe, it's not going to exist as an offshore island. It does have to align itself with the United States and get the advantages of being in a bloc with the United States, and in turn, with the US in an alliance with the UK, the chances of eventually getting a better deal with Europe become all the greater.
What's worse for UK assets, Corbyn as Prime Minister or a no-deal Brexit under the Tories?
I would see a no-deal Brexit under the Tories with a one-year transition and a new leader potentially gaining a landslide victory on the basis that they've been very badly dealt with by the Europeans and put in an impossible situation. That would be the best outcome. And
the pound, how much risk is there to the pound? How much appetite do you have for the pound?
Well, the main risk to the pound is Governor Carney. I mean, Governor Carney is one of the big currency manipulators. I mean, at this point of the business cycle, with unemployment so low and wages going up, UK interest rates really should be the same level as the United States.
I'm sure he'd say he's just trying to fight inflation.
Yeah, but with interest rates are way down at 0.75%, Carney has aligned UK monetary policy with the ECB and their currency manipulation.
Do you see the idea of a people's vote? We've had a question from a viewer, Brendan, saying if this doesn't get through Parliament, do you see the chance of a question being asked of the people? This deal, no deal, or no Brexit at all?
I would say what the markets would focus on if it doesn't get through Parliament is a prospect of a new Conservative leader who might do a no deal and arrange a transitional period.